Longhorn fans, Sooner Nation, welcome to episode 174 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Texas, and the University of Oklahoma. I'm here with my man, Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. Kevin, we are back from our spring break hiatus. I have seen the great American West, and am still in love with this country as much as I was when I took the trip to begin with. Santa Fe, New Mexico, the Grand Canyon, Prescott, Arizona, all beautiful places. Put them on the list. Today is a pretty big day in sports. It is opening day for Major League Baseball. It is the first 4 games in the Sweet 16 for the men's NCAA Division I Basketball Championship Tournament, aka March Madness. We will be talking about Oklahoma's basketball team, Texas's basketball team. We will talk women's basketball because they're still playing for Texas and Oklahoma. But first, Oklahoma football. Mike Gundy, Oklahoma football's little brother's head coach, has essentially thrown down the gauntlet and challenged the University of Oklahoma for a spring game matchup. Kevin, why are all the people that told me you can't have a spring game because you will showcase talent and lose it to the portal? You can't have a spring game because people will get injured and hurt. You can't have a spring game because you will divulge too much of your game plan and personnel to your opponents. Why are these same people now telling me, Kevin, that this would be great for Oklahoma football, for Oklahoma State football, for college football, to have an inter-squad game between Oklahoma and OSU? Make it make sense, Kevin.
We don't know what we want, clearly. None of us know what we want. Literally, we go from having spring games every year to now all of a sudden we can't do it because, like you said, we're going to get hurt. Our players are going to get recruited in the spring transfer window. So I don't know. I know this Colorado thing, maybe it's the buzz that's generated from, Coach Prime saying, hey, I want to do a spring game. I want to do it against another team. And of course, Syracuse is like, hey, we'll do it. And they're trying to get clearance from the NCAA. So I don't know if they're seeing this as a big money-making opportunity, maybe more so than a traditional spring game would be. I'm not sure, man.
Look, I love Oklahoma football. So I guess if there's another opportunity to watch Oklahoma football, if it's in the spring, I don't know that I care it's against Oklahoma State. I don't know how much bragging rights are generated from a spring game with coaches on the field likely. But it would be cool. You think about like NFL training camps when like the other team shows up. Not even so much the preseason games, but like
the practices. Have those intra-squad scrimmages,
Yeah, and they do the scrimmages, and ones go against ones, and they do workouts together and stuff like that. I almost think that would be more interesting than in quotation marks, a game.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know what we would really put into it. I guess it's something to think about. I just, to your point, though, and my point earlier, I just think it's crazy that a narrative is created about spring games. And then the minute Coach Prime, and we talk about Coach Prime, he has been a key figure on this podcast for the last 2 or 3 years. He's a disruptor. He's an innovator. He's the kind of guy that'll play a football player 120 plays a game and make him the best college football player in the country. And to your point, he'll go out and he'll challenge somebody to come play us in the spring. And now all of a sudden people feel like they need to get onto it. I think for Oklahoma, it's a little buggy that this is what Mike Gundy wants to do when we really want to play him in the regular season. But whatever. Has Texas been approached by any of this?
No, I haven't heard anything about Texas having any kind of potential joint practices with another team.
I think joint practices would be fun. As far as the game goes, I don't know. Like I said, it's just an interesting thought. As far as other news goes, speaking of Oklahoma State, Kevin, Caden Jones, 4-star running back out of Jinx, decides to go to Oklahoma State over his father, Kewan Jones's alma mater, Oklahoma. I hate losing in-state talent. I absolutely hate
especially
it.
the kind that you want. If you want a player locally, especially at a place like Oklahoma, you should expect to get that player.
And you want 4-star running backs. Look, our running back room is very questionable. Okay? There's some experience there. We think that there's talent there, Taylor Tatum and Xavier Robinson, but we just don't know. We haven't seen it yet. So it's really hard to project any true success coming out of that running back room. Somebody dynamic like 4-star in-state talent would be something you could get excited about. And to lose them to Oklahoma State, it just sucks, dude. It sucks because these are the losses that weren't supposed to happen when Oklahoma went to the SEC.
No, not at all. And it just makes you wonder what happened there. You know, did you guys want him? Did you recruit him hard? I know he had an offer, but, you know, sometimes with these kids, man, they want to feel the love, right? And maybe he felt like Gundy and his staff recruited him harder than DeMarco Murray and the rest of the OU staff did. Just throwing stuff out there. I don't know if any of it is true. I'm just speculating.
I mean, maybe general manager Jim Nagy decided that we're not going to pay him as much as Oklahoma State's offering him. It's
a reality of college sports right now. And it's just like life, right? Sometimes the price affects where you go and what you do.
His dad, Kewan Jones, let's go down memory lane for a little bit. Really good player at Oklahoma. Very, very, very solid running back. Played 1 year, if I'm not mistaken, with Adrian Peterson as his kind of alter ego as senior year. But before that, he was on the 2003 team that went up against LSU. I mean, he was a really, really nice running back at Oklahoma. He is an Oklahoma high school legend. In a game
did he play at Jinx as well?
He played at Jinx. And I'm pretty sure it was a Jinx versus Union game. I remember driving home from work. He used to work at the JCPenney at Crossroads Mall, back when Crossroads Mall was a mall. And I'm driving home from work on a Friday night, and they're broadcasting the Jinx Union game. And obviously I didn't hear the whole game. Up to that point, he had scored 4 touchdowns.
There you go.
Union scores another touchdown with, I want to say, like 30 seconds to go in the game to seemingly clinch it. And all Kewan Jones does is take a pass and goes 80 yards to the house to win it on the almost on a walk-off.
That's crazy.
The guy was unbelievable in high school and a really good player. Not only do you hate losing 4-stars, but you hate losing legacy kids. I think about the kid Alexander, the tight end out of Washington, that's going up to Iowa State or wherever he's going, Iowa or Iowa State, whatever. It's just, what are we doing? What are we doing that's causing these players to even consider going somewhere else? Like, I don't like it. I don't get it. And it's frustrating. And if it is the love, dude, they'll show. I tell you what, if you want people to contribute to NIL, give them some roots, right? Give them something to hold on to that's tangible with people they know, with local players and local names. I'm not saying your roster should be made of that, but there should be some ties to the University of Oklahoma, and these are opportunities missed. That's just my opinion. Yeah, opportunities missed.
Yeah, correct. And, Texas is kind of in a recruiting battle for Caden Finley, who's Jermichael Finley's son. And, so he's really considering Notre Dame. So it's kind of a battle that Texas is in.
Well, would you rather lose them, I guess, to Notre Dame than to Texas A&M?
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Especially Oklahoma. I mean, when we lose somebody to Oklahoma State, like if we lose somebody to Texas, it's like, Texas is really good. They've been to 2 college football playoffs. Sark's got them rolling. You lose to Oklahoma State, you're like, they went winless last year.
Yeah.
They couldn't even win in the Big 12, and you're going to play at Oklahoma State?
Yeah. That's very interesting.
You got time to reconsider, Caden. You have time to reconsider. I don't know what the
Plenty of
NIL offers.
Nothing's been signed yet.
I was this is a side note. This is just a little NIL rant here. We had Joe Young on the podcast a couple years ago when Oklahoma played BYU. Joe Young is considered our BYU insider.
For sure.
And I saw him over the spring break trip. And we were talking about NIL. And we're lamenting the fact that it turned into kind of a, crowdsource GoFundMe type situation for athletic departments to pay players to play. And he brought up a really good point, which is, in what world have we ever lived in where people are asked to donate money to people that make more money than them?
That's very interesting.
And I agree with that sentiment. It's so weird. I'm really hoping that this revenue sharing will put that we'll just kind of redirect that money back to the old school donation and donor pool.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe that horse is out of the barn. I don't know. But
it seems like it'd be hard to go back from that, but hopefully the pressure is not there.
Hopefully the pressure's not there. Here was the comment I made. Is I don't know if I've made this on the podcast or not, but if I have, then it's just a repeat. Okay, Kevin. If you told me that I could cut the tip of my pinky off, okay, a la Ronnie Lott, for Oklahoma to win a national champion next year, I'd be like, give me the surgical saw, cut it off. That's how much I want Oklahoma to win a national championship in football.
Yeah.
Ask me if I'm going to donate $25 a month to their NIL, and I'm going to tell them to go jump. I would rather have my pinky cut off than donate $25 a month. It just drives me nuts. Sorry, that's a little off topic, but it just drives me nuts.
No. I think it's fair for you to feel that way, right? There's you shouldn't feel obligated to donate to NIL. You just shouldn't.
Dude, look around at all of us. You've got a Nike burnt orange shirt on. You got a Texas thing hanging from your wall. I've got an Oklahoma thing hanging from my wall. I got an OU, which shirt it is. I got an OU, polo on. We all spend so much money that flows back to our respective universities. The NIL thing just drives me up a wall. Like, figure it out. I'm hoping the revenue sharing figures it out.
Yeah, right, the money's there. For Texas, Oklahoma, you're bringing in a ton of money.
Yeah, I apologize to everyone for getting on an NIL rant. Okay.
You've trust me, you've had worse rants.
You agree with this rant? It sounds like you agree with this rant.
I understand your perspective for sure. Yeah.
Are you like a big donor to Texas? You give like $150 a month, $250
No,
a month?
I don't donate. I don't. Oh. No, but like I said, even if I did, and you said I'm not doing anything, I wouldn't be upset. I get it. You shouldn't feel obligated to do that.
Yeah, I can't stand it. Okay, but back to recruiting, back to Oklahoma. Now we've got a player at Mustang, Oklahoma, Jaden O'Neal, who I don't think made the finals of the Elite 11, but is like right on the verge. I mean, a very good, high 4-star commit to Oklahoma at quarterback. Brent Venables' rule from day one has been, if you're committed, your visits are done. Apparently, that's not the case for Jaden O'Neal. He's got all these official visits scheduled for Georgia, LSU, Auburn. And don't quote me on all these. I just know there's some SEC schools and there's some big schools. Meanwhile, Oklahoma is openly pursuing another quarterback, Bo Bentley, who is also visiting Georgia, LSU, Arizona. He's out of Salina, Texas. The kid uprooted and moved. Where did he move from? Did he move from California to Mustang?
I believe he was from California, yeah.
Okay. And full disclosure, I graduated from Mustang. Great school. Okay, so how crazy is it that a kid uprooted, moved to Oklahoma to be closer to his intended school, and now there's a lot of smoke looking like maybe that commitment's not as firm as everybody thought it was. Now, again, I don't know the intricacies of the commitment one way or the other, but it doesn't sound great for Oklahoma if indeed they still want to sign Jaden O'Neal.
Yeah, I mean, it's early in the process. I think that's one thing we have to keep in mind. And I think sometimes, and I understand this too, kids, you just want to do your due diligence. I just want to know that I'm 100% sure. I just don't want to leave any doubt. Go see other places. I think that's why certain staffs don't really push for commitments early for this reason. They'd rather recruit them than have to hold on to them. It seems harder to hold on to a kid's commitment than it is to actually obtain it. And I think that's what Sark and his staff do. They kind of just kind of keep building on the relationship and then try to get the commitment, later on in the process, because it's just really hard to hold on to these commitments because they just waver, man. It's just when you are committed for so long, sometimes you just get that doubt in your head. We've seen this before. I mean, look at Jace McClellan. Kid was committed to
Yeah.
OU for 3 years, right? And we get right around signing, he starts having these weird second thoughts, right? Takes a couple visits, and next thing you know, he's flipping to Alabama on signing day. So sometimes you got to take your time. I still think, I mean, with him moving to Mustang, I know he can move again, right? But with him moving to Mustang, I still think OU is where he wants to be. I think he just wants to do his due diligence. So I would encourage the fans not to turn on Jaden O'Neal just yet, and just kind of let him do his thing. As far as Venables with his, if you're taking other visits, you're not committed. I mean, okay, kids are going to take visits. It's just what it is. You don't have to accept their commitment, but you just have to know they're under no obligation until signing day. This is going to happen. Texas has commits taking visits too. Just what happens.
Yeah, I wonder if the NCAA, I've wondered this since NIL has become a thing, is if, yes, we know we have commitment dates from the NCAA. There's,
The signing days.
signing days and signing periods and certain windows with which players can officially commit, ink to paper type thing. I'm not suggesting that in a Jaden O'Neal this would even make sense, but let's say you get to their junior year, so it's the summer in between their junior and senior year when things are getting very serious. Why you can't just sign them to an NIL contract early?
Okay.
Then that
And
deals
with the NIL. So with the
then the
NIL,
NIL
would
NIL
obligate them
locks them in.
into signing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the NIL locks them in. Like, why
Yeah.
not that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see a problem with that as long as the player, everybody knows what the obligations are. Hey, I'm paying you. You're locked in for the at least for a year.
Yeah. Maybe that doesn't matter. I don't
I
know.
know some coaches have pushed for an early signing period, and usually it's those coaches who get early commitments, like Mac Brown used to. I mean, and
Dude, Mac Brown would have signed his class in the 10th grade if he could have.
if this would have been 2000, say 2010, even Texas would have their entire recruiting class pretty much locked up.
Yeah.
Even though they wouldn't be signing until February.
It'd be a top 5 class. It'd be a top 5 class.
Yeah. And we're talking about kids who aren't signing until February of 26, and he'd have the whole class already locked up.
And he'd be gone.
Which is a good and bad. It's good. It was a blessing and a curse for that. So,
Texas football, I'm not sure. You can tell us any recruiting news that the world of the Boomer Bevo listeners need to be aware of?
Not a ton. I mean, they've got some visit days coming up. They got some talented kids who are coming to check out practice over the next couple weeks or so. But no big news. As far as this team goes, spring practice is going on right now. They had the pro day on Tuesday, so guys got to perform.
All I saw was Quinn's one throw over and over and over again on my timeline.
Oh, okay, yeah. You know how that goes. There's always that one throw.
It was nauseating. But anyway, go ahead.
Hey,
you probably watched it like 100 times. You probably loved it. You probably said
a couple times.
Look at the arm talent. Look at the arm. Draft on arm talent. Am I right?
He's got the arm talent. It's still there.
It's still hasn't gone anywhere.
No, it didn't elevate as much as I thought it would with Quinn. He is who he is. I mean, you've got 3 years of tape of him playing very consistently, right? So I think at this point he is who he. And when I say consistent, I'm not saying consistently great. I'm just saying consistent.
Give me a pro that Quinn could be. What's his ceiling? in
Oh
the
man,
pros
that's interesting. I have not even.
if you picked a player. Kirk
I hadn't
Cousins?
even
Could he
thought
be a
about
Kirk
that.
Cousins?
I think so.
Is he good enough there? Or I mean, Kirk Cousins.
I mean, he could develop. I
Um,
mean, it took him time to develop into that. I think Cousins was a fourth round pick. It was
yeah,
just so interesting because Washington drafted him and RG3 the same year,
right.
right? So RG3 is, I think, what, number 2 or number 3 in the draft, first round, and then later on they drafted Cousins. And Cousins ended up having the better career. I mean, injuries really set RG3 back after his second year in Washington, but yeah, I think so. I think so. If he gets with the right staff, like if he got with McVay, I think that would be great for him. And he got to sit back and
Well,
back up Stafford.
it's funny you say that because I was wondering, like, I don't think anybody considers Jared Goff to be a top 3, 4 quarterback,
No,
but under McVay and now he's really, really, really good. Like he's a franchise,
yeah,
obviously a franchise quarterback.
hmm
Falls a
yeah,
little short in the playoffs last 2 years, which is interesting.
yeah. But that's what most
Um,
guys do. That's just how
well,
you know. I mean,
that's what Quinn did for 2 years, right? I mean,
that's
let's just
what
face it.
that's just what. Yeah, him, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. That's what most quarterbacks
Easy,
do. Only
yeah,
one wins.
yeah.
Only one wins the title. So yeah, I think with golf, I think you have tiers of quarterbacks, right? When it comes to the NFL, you've got the few guys who are the superstar guys, then you got the franchise guys, and you got the guys who are just solid starters. And it's hard to even find the solid starting quarterbacks in this league. Like you have to work up to become that,
Yeah.
like where like a Baker is. Like that's not a knock saying a guy's a solid starting quarterback. It is hard to become a solid starting quarterback in the National Football League.
Well, I mean, Baker goes. If Baker goes, they play 17 games. If he goes 8-9 next year, people will be saying he's not a starting quarterback. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
yeah. I mean,
well,
yeah,
maybe not.
but
But
I don't
but
know. The way he's
Baker to
played,
me is, even though his stats were really good, he's always on the edge of that conversation still.
yeah,
People want to
but he's
hate
still a
against him.
solid starter. Like no one's gonna say he's nobody who has true football sense is gonna say he's not a starting NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Now again, he might not be a franchise guy, but there's a few franchise guys and there's only a few superstars. I mean, the superstars are what obviously Mahomes, I think Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and maybe Joe Burrow.
And Joe Burrow, did they make the playoffs?
No, they didn't. First of all, he was fantastic last year,
Yeah.
but the team overall was not.
You know who's making a case, and this has nothing to do with Texas football, but Jaden Daniels. He's trying to
Yeah, I
get in
mean,
that spot.
He had a great rookie year. I
But
saw him.
I don't think Jalen Hurts is in that category, even though as good as he's played. Even
Yeah,
winning a
he's
Super
a
Bowl, I don't
franchise
think
guy.
he's a
Yeah, he's a
franchise guy.
franchise guy. Yeah, again, and that's great. Most teams are dying to have a franchise quarterback.
All right, back to Texas football. National pundits are predicting Texas wins 10 games. Or the way I look at it, loses 2 games.
Okay.
We know that their schedule is the same as last year, minus Michigan, adding Ohio State at the Big House, which
Yes.
in this case is a ginormous jump in competition coming off. Going
It
against
certainly appears that way.
we don't know who Ohio State's going to have a quarterback. At least I don't.
No.
But we know
No,
they're going to be
competition.
loaded. We know they're going to be loaded everywhere else. And they had Will Howard, and none of us thought he was going to win a national championship. But
Oh God, no. He did it.
so yeah, exactly. So we know that's good. Okay. So if we were to look at Texas's, I just want to get March 27th, opening day of baseball. Let's talk Texas's win total here, real quick. All right.
Let's do it, man.
I'm just going to go through the schedule really quick. Ohio State, San Jose State, Texas El Paso, Sam Houston, Florida, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Vandy, Georgia, Arkansas, A&M. I have circled games they could lose.
Okay.
Ohio State, at Florida. You can lose the Oklahoma game.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you can. Absolutely.
You're at Georgia,
Uh-huh.
and you host A&M. Those are really only the 5 games you can lose, right? I can lose.
I mean, yeah, without just a horrible
without Arch getting hurt. without Arch getting
Yeah,
hurt.
without an injury and one of those just a nightmare kind of worst case scenario in several different aspects of the game.
Look,
Right.
I know Diego Pavia is coming back. Blah blah blah. It's Kentucky, Mississippi State, Vandy, and Arkansas. You're not going to lose those games, right?
Wouldn't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
So you've got to find 2 out of those 5 that you think are the best chance of losing. I loved it. I love the way I'm phrasing this. So Texas is going to lose 2 games. Where are these 2 games? Who are those out of those 5? Where are those 2 losses coming from?
Well, Ohio State. Right. I mean, going on the
You're already calling it a loss on March 27th. You're saying they will
I'm just
lose.
saying that's one that they can lose.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And Georgia?
I would say Georgia. Yeah. I mean, the OU game's going to be tough just because it's
real quick. Before we talk about OU, with Lagway with Florida, when I saw that on there and it being at Florida, first SEC game in the swamp, it's going to be 100 degrees with like 180% humidity.
Yeah, it's going to be. That's the thing because it's a night game. I'm assuming, but yeah, it's going to be so humid, man.
It's going to be disgusting.
It's going to be so humid. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it'll be absolutely disgusting. I can't imagine.
And we love Lagway. You know how we feel about that.
Y'all didn't get to play it. He didn't play Lagway.
Didn't play him. No. Didn't play him. And you know, they got some things going in their running game against us. Again, a lot of that was in the second half, right? Maybe we took our foot off the gas, but they had some running things that kind of caught my eye. So, I mean, obviously, we have a year to kind of adjust to those things, but they've got a talented team. Napier has done a really good job in recruiting, and I think that the way that they finish the season, they're going to go into this season with a lot of confidence. I'm curious to see where they're ranked to start the season, but I think they're a talented football team, and I think having someone like Lagway is going to give that whole team belief. We've got a guy who we can win with, and yeah, so it's an exciting game, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I agree that Ohio State and Georgia are 1 and 1A. I mean, they could arguably be the 2 best programs in the country. Maybe not even arguably. Maybe they are the 2 best programs in the country, Ohio State and Georgia. Despite Georgia's seemingly flaws last year, let's not forget they won the SEC, which is not an easy. It's not an easy thing to do.
Twice.
Yes. Right? It's not easy to win the SEC. I mean,
not at all.
Okay. All right. So 1 and 1A is Ohio State, and okay. The most next likely loss comes from Florida, Oklahoma, or A&M. Who, based on Arch's inexperience, based on offensive line's inexperience, based on whatever you want to base it on, Florida on the road, Dallas, Texas on October 11th, or Little Brother in Austin, where does the next loss likely come from if it comes?
I'm going to have to go with OU.
I agree.
Just narrowly edging out Florida.
I agree. At the end of the day, now how much did Arch get in against Oklahoma last year?
Oh, I don't even. Did he play?
Surely, right? I mean, y'all were up by 100 in the third quarter. Hell, I left in the third quarter.
Quinn was in there late in the fourth quarter.
Was he really?
Yeah, nothing meaningful.
Did he get in for any like one-off plays? Did he score like a rushing touchdown or anything? Do you know?
No, I don't think.
Do you remember? He didn't. Okay.
No.
So basically, you've got a first-year starter now. Mateer's also going to be a first-year starter at Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl. We've talked at length about what it did to Jalen Hurts. Even though they won that game, he did not look like the same player he was the other 11 games. But we've seen some guys in their first game light it up. Dude, Casey Thompson lit it up, even though he lost.
He really did, man. Yeah,
that was one of the best performances by a Texas quarterback in a red rivalry game.
Yeah.
Win or lose.
Correct. Yeah, he was really good. Obviously, the same game, Caleb Williams.
And in the same game, you have what doesn't look good, which is Spencer Rattler, who didn't just get pulled once in a red rivalry game, but got pulled twice.
Because
he was pulled the year before. So you just
Yeah.
and I don't know. I just think that game, obviously, that's why we have a podcast, creates a lot of tension for these quarterbacks. I don't know. Go into the if you're going to come out of Florida though with a win, heading into Dallas, that is going to be a crap ton of momentum for OU to overcome.
Yeah. The thing is, though, I expect you guys to have that kind of intensity that you had in the 2023 game. And it took Texas a while to match it. You guys were basically shot out of a cannon to start that game. I mean, you got after Quinn right away, forcing the turnover, and you go down and you score.
To your point, yes,
Well,
I know
okay,
what
no.
I know what you're trying to say, and I agree with you 100%. However, just for the record, we forced a turnover last year too. It didn't really matter.
Okay, but here's the difference in that game, though. Last year's game, and it is different. You guys were so fired up in that game, and you played well. This game, Quinn's first game back from injury. I mean, I don't know if you've watched the broadcast or the highlights, and I understand why you would never want to watch the highlights of that game from last year.
I had no idea. I've never searched highlights from 20.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, I get it. But the first drive, I mean, the Sarkat Quinn setup for massive plays. That throw, I mean, he has Golden wide open for a huge gain. He throws it 10 yards over his head, and Billy Bowman makes a great diving catch for the turnover there. But if you go back into that game, I mean, I can't believe how fired up you guys were. And we just were not as juiced as you guys were. I don't think, you guys played up into the whole 49-0 thing the whole offseason. You prepared for it.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
you guys came out. I mean, your hair was on fire. It was insane.
It's the best coaching. It's the best coaching job that BB's done.
Correct.
And I don't think it's close.
The end game stuff was really good. The play calling, the scheme from Levy, it was a masterclass from Levy. Most of that game, especially on that last drive.
Dylan Gabriel, though, with the experience, his only start against Texas looked really, really good.
Yeah.
Hopefully a portent from what Oklahoma fan can expect from Mateer, right? To have that same he's played a lot of football, but dude, Washington State, what do you play against Washington? Maybe a bowl game.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And I believe that was on the road, right? That game against Washington last year.
Yeah, that's sure. And Washington can be allowed. It can be allowed. It's not possible. It can be allowed stadium, but it's not possible.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, I mean, we'll see, man. He's got experience, not as much as Dylan Gabriel had. Right. And Dylan Gabriel, I think what helps him is his demeanor never changes.
Where does DG get drafted?
I have absolutely no idea. I've heard nothing regarding his draft status at all.
Mateer's quite a bit bigger than him, isn't he?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Huh.
But I mean, hey, Dylan Gabriel did the job. He did the job on that day, so good for him.
Oh, it was great. Okay, Kevin, let's take a moment. Since the last time we talked, Oklahoma had massive windstorms, particularly on the Friday before spring break, that turned into fire instances all over the state, most notably in Stillwater and in Norman, really all over. It was really, really crazy. It's for out-of-state listeners, I've lived here 27 years, 28 years almost. And it's the closest thing to what I imagine the Dust Bowl was like. Right? Like, you remember that Friday. It was horrific.
Wild, man. It was wild. Crazy day.
The sky was so dark. The wind was relentless. Dust was getting in your house, like it was nuts. And there were fires. Brown O'Haver has already been engaged with multiple people that have suffered fires on that day and subsequent days. So the reason they've engaged with Brown O'Haver is because Brown O'Haver knows how to work insurance claims to get you rebuilt and get you back in your home. Okay. They're not contractors. They're insurance adjusters that work for the insured, not the insurance company. They know policies, they know insurance companies, and they know what it takes to get you more money for your claim, get that more money more quickly, and get you back into your house and your life back together. So if you or somebody you know suffered a loss in the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, or within the last year, you want to call Brown O'Haver, 405 735 5510. Kevin, tell us about who you're going to tell us about.
Yeah, Pioneer Roofing. The same storm has caused a lot of damage to people's roofs, people having shingles ripped off and everything. If you have suffered a loss to your roof, any sort of roofing damage at all, okay, give Pioneer Roofing a call. They can come out, give you an inspection, let you know if it's something that you need to file an insurance claim for, or if it's something that just requires a minimal repair. It's something you definitely want to know before you file a claim. You don't want to end up having a claim that you don't need. So you want to do that first. Similar to calling Brown O'Haver before you file a claim, just to get some advice just before you get deep into that process. So give Pioneer Roofing a call, 405-549-2712.
Kevin, let's start with women's basketball because women are winners when it comes to Oklahoma and Texas and basketball this spring. So that's what we're going to start with. Oklahoma, in addition to a dominating victory over Iowa earlier on Monday, where they just beat the you-know-what out of them, they also got a pretty big recruiting win with the number one player in the country, Aaliyah Chavez out of Lubbock, Texas. Kevin, I've got two words for you. Jordan money. That's what signed this girl. This isn't coming out of Oklahoma's football's NIL budget. This isn't coming out of the revenue sharing. This is coming out of Phil Knight's and Michael Jordan's personal coffers up there in Oregon. We got this girl because we're a Jordan school. And I freaking love it, dude. Now, let this sink in, Kevin. I just went on a rant about NIL. John hates NIL, blah, 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 blah. I don't hate NIL. I hate the way it's structured, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I want you to erase that just for a minute from your mind. And think about the significance of this. It is reported, Kevin, that the number one women's basketball player in the country is going to ink a $1.5 million NIL deal to play basketball at Oklahoma.
That's crazy. What a time, right?
Listen, I was my daughters had a golf tournament on Tuesday when this news came down, and we were all eating lunch after by the way, they rolled. They're so good. The junior high, Norman North Junior High golf is, dude, we're on another level. I don't even know. There's not even the 90s Bulls, maybe, is the first team that comes to mind that we can maybe compare it to. The 60s Celtics, whatever. That's neither here nor there. But I'm sitting there with them. Look, I get this news. Somebody texted me, hey, we got Aaliyah Chavez. I'm like, I turned to my daughters and I'm like, listen, guys, or girls in this case, this is remarkable that in a world where okay, look, this is the example I used, okay? 15 years ago, it's 2010, Kevin. 2010. I don't know whoever started for Texas wasn't a good idea. But let's say, was Cam Newton at Auburn?
Yes.
Okay. Let's just say I told you Cam Newton in 2010 was getting $1.5 million to play football at Auburn. You know what you'd say? Probably.
Correct.
Probably. It's sketchy. He's sketchy. There's probably the thought of a male athlete getting sums of money has never been far-fetched.
No.
In fact, it was almost assumed that players were getting money, right? Football players in particular. If I told you in 2010 a girls basketball player was ever going to get $1.5 million to play college basketball, you tell me to get the heck out of here.
Yeah, no way.
You're like, impossible. $1.5 million. Regardless of whether that's Oklahoma or Texas or what, I'm just saying, to NIL's credit, it has fundamentally shifted the way we look at men's and women's sports. And that's pretty amazing.
It is.
More amazingly is that she signed with Oklahoma. Look, I think Jenny Baranchek's a hell of a coach. And I think she's got this team rolling. And we got the number one girl in the portal last year in Reagan Beers. And now we got the number one recruit in the country in Aaliyah Chavez. I can't believe she signed at Oklahoma. You got Texas is rolling. Y'all are going to play Tennessee on Saturday. We're going to play UConn, which we'll talk a little bit about. And of course, you got South Carolina, which you love Don Staley. You don't forget Gino up at UConn. Don't forget what's happening at USC. And then, of course, LSU with that. Although I can understand why she wouldn't want to go play for Kim Mulkey. My point being, how in the world, outside of Jordan money, I mean, it's just Jordan money? Or is Jenny B really selling something that this girl's buying?
Well, I mean, I think obviously the NIL is a huge factor, right? We can't deny that. But I think she likes the style there that you guys play. It's kind of a more of an up-tempo style, where Texas is kind of a more of a grinding, kind of a grinded out type of offense. More, I think that, yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah. They really grind you out on defense. Yeah, so they play with a bit of a slower pace. I think the more up-tempo pace kind of suited her more. But, I mean, I know Texas felt good really up until Saturday when, she popped up in Norman for that visit there. But I think Texas felt really good about it.
Listen, I think it's huge. I think you and I texted after Oklahoma men's lost to UConn. And you're like, what do you think? What do you think's happening with Porter? This was just a text message back and forth between you and I. And I'm like, I'm not worried about Porter. I'm worried about Jenny Baranchek. Like, this lady's like really good. And can she get an offer where she gets more support? Because and I think when I'm saying it's crowd support, because they don't draw the crowds that other schools, you can just see it, visibly draw. She ain't going anywhere with the number one recruit in the country.
No, you don't do that.
Side note, I will make this. When all those people gripe about people not showing up for games, you know what you do? You do what the girls' basketball team did, and you go win. It's funny what happens when you win. People show up. They had over 9,000 people there on a Monday at 3:00.
Yeah, Monday afternoon.
Monday afternoon at 3:00. They had 9,000 people there. That's what happens when you go win basketball games. People will show up. So whatever. I don't want to hear about, no, go show support. Just win some games. All right, that's Oklahoma. They play UConn. They play Paige Beckers, who with Juju out at USC going down with a
devastating injury, by the way.
Devastating injury. I don't love USC, but I hate to see that kind of injury. It just sucks.
Yeah. When you see the best player in the country tear,
you don't want to see it.
Yeah, horrible.
You remember when that happened to was it Kenyon Martin at Cincinnati?
He broke his leg. Yeah,
like right before the I think he did it in whatever conference he was in,
championship game or something like that. Yeah,
yeah. It's just he was the best player in the.
Yeah, they were the number one team in the country.
They ended up giving Cincinnati a 2 seed. Remember, they bumped him down to a 2 seed without him there. Anyway, we're playing UConn. UConn's 14.5-point favorite. I got to tell you though, Kevin.
I didn't realize the spread was that hard.
It seems high, right?
My goodness.
I think it seems high. It's in Spokane. It's as far away from UConn as you can get.
Yeah.
Now, UConn is a national program in terms of women's basketball. They'll have plenty of fans there, but look, I think you said it, the style of play, Oklahoma's got a ton of shooters. When 2 or 3 of them are cold, there's usually 2 or 3 that are hitting. Reagan Beers is a beast. We've out-rebounded our first 2 opponents by like 1,000.
Man, I watched the first 2 minutes of Florida Gulf Coast game, your first game. I'm like, she's going to go for 30 and 20. Yeah, she could have. 5 minutes. Yeah.
It's probably my crimson-colored boxers, which I think is appropriate to mention when I'm talking about women's sports. It's probably my crimson-colored boxers, but I think we have a really good chance to beat UConn. We'll see. Hey, what we talked about on affair, now that Oklahoma's in the SEC, this is the absolute best preparation you could have.
Yeah, battle tested.
Dude, you go play LSU, Texas, and South Carolina. Are you scared to play UConn anymore?
No, not at all.
No. Okay, speaking of Texas, which we spoke a little bit about Texas in there. Sorry about you losing Aaliyah Chavez to us. You play Tennessee in Birmingham, Alabama, Saturday at 3:30. Tennessee's 24-9. Texas is still really good, man. You expect them to roll over Tennessee?
I don't expect them to roll. I think it'll be a challenge, but I do expect them to win the game. The thing about Texas, man, the shooting could be a little streaky. They don't have the 3-point shooting. I mean, they only shoot 2 or 3 a game sometimes as a team. sometimes the court can get a little condensed offensively. What keeps them in every game is the ferocious defense that they play.
They are absolutely, what's the word? Relentless when it comes to their defense. I remember the first time they played OU, and OU's used to having really good ball movement and spacing the floor really well, and it did not matter against Texas. There was absolutely no room to maneuver in that game. None.
Yeah, they try to make it very uncomfortable for you to get into your sets.
Vic Schaefer makes me uncomfortable to watch a game. How about that, Kevin? Although I think I might have found somebody that I hate more than Vic Schaefer. You ready for this? And this took a lot. This took a lot, Kevin. How about one Dan Hurley? What a douche. Kevin, is there a worse person in sports right now than Dan Hurley?
He's a madman out there. I was trying to think about who to compare him to.
He's a freaking weirdo, bro. He is a weirdo.
Is he like a modern Bobby Knight, or what is he like?
He's worse.
Coach K?
He's worse. He's worse.
Coach K was a madman too, back in the day.
I don't even think he's a madman. It's his utter bafflement on his face that somebody could dare call something against his team.
Yeah.
And like the way he reacted, we're not going to go into his whole post-game deal after losing to Florida.
Yeah.
But what a baby, right? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, just take the. I know you're not used to losing when you win 2 straight natties, but bro, just take the L. You had a great run. You really shouldn't have even been that good, based on what they lost from last year's team, and they were close to beating Florida. I mean, but you lost, man. It's over.
They were equally close to losing to Oklahoma. Let's just talk about Oklahoma basketball just for a second. You talked about Texas not shooting the ball well. Oklahoma had 3 made threes against UConn, and one of them was a bank shot.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
You were still in it, too.
We were still in it, dude. Goodine couldn't throw it in the ocean. Forsyth couldn't throw it in the ocean. Elvis, Miles, nobody. If it wasn't for Jeremiah Fears, we'd have gotten run off the court. Yeah. Now, all the crap I gave him mid-conference has gone out the window. That kid is a superstar. Jalen Moore had a very rough first half, but he killed it in the second half. He played great in the second half. Wagway, where has that dude been all year? Because he played out of his mind. The only thing I was mad at Porter about, Porter can't shoot the ball for him. Okay? Like, the shots were there. They weren't making. But he kept substituting Wagway for Northweather. And I don't know if he was trying to do like an offense-defense kind of thing, or if he was trying to keep Wagway out of foul trouble. But every time he subbed Wagway, Northweather did something stupid. And it just made me mad. And he put Wagway in, and Wagway would get a rebound, or get a block shot, or get fouled at the basket and make 1 or 2 free throws or whatever. Like, Wagway was as good a big as we've had all year, including Sam Godwin, some of his games, maybe not the Michigan game, but so really, really good. But we lost. I don't think Porter's going anywhere, but he's going to have to rebuild his whole roster again. We lose. We're going to lose Fears.
It's an annual thing. Yeah. I mean, that's how it is. You get these talented players, man. Like, we talked about this too with Fears. You know, if it was back in the day, he'd come back and he'd be one of the best players in the country. Same with Trey Johnson at Texas. I mean, now these guys will be on NBA rosters next year.
If Fears, Trey Johnson's stats are going to look better than Fears because Trey Johnson's scoring stayed up throughout the entire conference schedule, right? And where Fears kind of had a dip.
Yeah.
I think if Fears comes back, he elevates over Trey Johnson. I think he's a better version of what he is as a point guard. Trey Johnson's a great scorer. I'm not really trying.
They play different positions too.
Yeah, I'm not really trying to take something away from Trey Johnson, but they were really highlighted against UConn. His passing out of pick and roll.
Passing. Yeah, we hadn't seen much of that. And in the fast break, I mean, him going to the rim, he just looks like young Tony Parker. Remember that? You just get to the rim on anybody.
Yes, dude, he went in for a dunk. He missed the dunk.
Yeah,
but man, he went up for a dunk, and he's a really good player. Okay, Texas basketball. You lose to Xavier in the first 4. It was borderline whether you should make it or not, which proved itself out by losing to Xavier. You never really looked like you were in the game anyway. And then as sports often go, you didn't turn around and hire Xavier's coach, Sean Miller.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a good hire. I don't know if home run's the right word.
Yeah,
It's a
I
solid.
don't think
It's a
so.
solid double. It's a stand-up double for sure, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel good about it. I don't think anyone's over the top excited, but maybe it works out like Sark. I don't know if anybody was over the top excited when we hired him, and it's really worked out. Um, I do like his experience in the tournament, and being able to recruit and develop players. And I think what was important for Texas is that he runs an exciting offense, which we haven't had in a long time, man. It's been rough offensively for several years there.
Yeah, it was rough going
So
back to the what's his name? Who's at Marquette?
yeah, Shaka Smart, exactly.
Shaka didn't have just a
And then
tremendous
Beard's,
offense either.
yeah, Beard, his wasn't either. And then Rodney Terry. So yeah, so I hope it works out. I hope it's a good move. I hope it elevates us and just makes us just a more consistently good program. I'm not expecting us to be Kansas or Duke, but can we just make the tournament every year? Can we get to the Sweet 16 in most years? Can we get to the Elite Eight every few years, like Rick Barnes used to do? I see no reason why Texas can't be that in basketball.
If you could do it with Rodney Terry, who I think reached the height of his powers, right? I think that's as good. What you saw from Rodney Terry is as good as you were ever going to get. It was never going to get any better. But it wasn't going to be terrible. You made the tournament every year, right? Did you make it last year?
Right. Yeah.
So it wasn't just god awful, but you just never really felt like he was. I don't know. You always felt like the only reason he's here is because Chris Beard got fired.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it just so happened, and I don't think anybody expected him to go to the Elite Eight.
Right. Yeah.
To kind of put the AD in a corner.
Yeah, he got like it wasn't so much lightning in a bottle. Chris Beard had assembled a heck of a roster.
Correct. And that's been the issue. Really, that's the main issue with Terry. Like his coaching on the court wasn't horrible, but the roster this year was not up to par, and it never was. Yeah.
But you look at Sean Miller's record, okay? He's a really good coach. 487 and 196. That's his record, all-time wins and losses. It's 22-13 in the tournament, which I love that record. Like I would kill. I mean, even Lon Kruger with OU never a great all-timer as a coach. He just never really won games in the tournament like that. I looked back. I tried to figure out. I was like, why did he leave Arizona and go back to Xavier? Like I couldn't remember. So this morning when I was getting ready, I looked it up. He was part of the scandal. That's why he got fired at. And I'm referring to the Adidas basketball scandal, 2017-18. Something about basically a representative for a sports management group that was somehow tied to Adidas was working with all these assistant coaches, mostly assistant coaches. It didn't seem like any head coaches were directly, accused, but working with assistant coaches, giving them money to funnel players to their management group so that they would ultimately sign with Adidas. And it seemed to happen, obviously, at Adidas schools. I remember Kansas and Bill Self got super tarnished from that, but he never got anything. Bill Self was never, ever, ever going to get.
He seems untouchable, man, when it comes to most violation type deals.
He's more likely to get fired for losing to Arkansas than he is for any kind of violation at Kansas.
Correct.
But yeah, so and I don't think Sean Miller was direct. So please correct me out there if you know something. I don't think he was. I think they fired him though for kind of lack of institutional control, right?
That's what it seems like. Yeah, but he was definitely cleared from the FBI probe deal.
But obviously Xavier felt good enough about him to rehire him. He stayed for 3 or 4 seasons. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I think 4 seasons there.
So I don't know, man.
He had a great run at Xavier the first time. Think about the players he had, like David West.
He had a great run. He was great at Arizona. Got him number 1 in the country a couple times.
Yeah.
I think 4 or 5 Pac-12 championships.
Yeah. Remember they beat Duke that year? They had Derek Williams.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
some good teams beat Texas.
I think you're going to be in good
That
shape
year.
with them. I think OU stuck with Porter. Uh, I guess it's fine. His teams played really, really hard.
Yeah.
He put
You
together
know,
a pretty good roster last year.
yeah, it wasn't bad. Yeah. I think with Texas, I think they, obviously someone like Nate Oates at Alabama would have been the top guy out there, but he has a crazy, ridiculous buyout.
He's
Are you not
not
a
leaving
fan?
Alabama. He's not. Well, no, I think he's a really good coach. His Blazer choice is a little obnoxious, but he's not leaving Alabama to go coach at Texas. You're not a basketball blue blood.
Neither is Alabama. What if they paid him more?
I didn't say they were, but I'm saying he's not leaving
What if
Alabama
you
to
pay
go
him
coach
more?
back. You're not leaving Alabama to go coach basketball at Texas. You're leaving Alabama for a blue blood, period. You're leaving Alabama for Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, UCLA, Kentucky. That's it.
I think he considered it.
He absolutely does not consider it.
I think he would have.
You're out of your mind. Listen, typically
We
on
have
this
a better
very
basketball history than Alabama.
typically on this podcast, Kevin, I am the one that says outlandish, unlikely things that will never occur in real life. And you are typically the voice of reason. This is the way this podcast is structured. You can't be throwing a wrench. You can't throw a wrench in the podcast by saying you're going to get one of the best coaches in the country at a Division I school currently playing in the Sweet 16, where he's getting plenty of money, plenty of recognition, plenty of attendance, all of that stuff, like he's going to come to Texas. He's not coming to Texas. You were never going to get him. You got a guy from Xavier that got fired from his last job. That's basically where Texas is at in the pecking order.
Okay.
Hey, we beat you in the last game, too.
You did. 1 out of 8. Congrats.
Yeah, no joke. God, we're terrible. All right. Changing. I didn't know if we were going to have time to bring this up, but I got to bring it up. And we actually missed out on the window, I thought. I thought for sure I wasn't going to be able to bring this up because it had gone too long and I didn't want to rehash stuff that was gone. But Stephen A. Smith brought it up again today based on the Pat McAfee interview that LeBron had. So he's refreshed it. I can bring it back up. Stephen A. Smith says that if LeBron would have touched him, he'd have swung at him, which I think is absolutely asinine to think that that's would have actually happened. All that to be said, what do you make of, now that we can re-talk about it again because it was brought back up, what do you make of the Stephen A. LeBron feud?
I think it's stupid. I think it's dumb. I think all of it's dumb. Like, why is LeBron mad at him? Why is he acting like he's going to swing on LeBron? Get out of here. You're not going to swing on LeBron.
Look, I've said a lot of stuff about LeBron James. The thought of swinging on him is probably one of the dumber thoughts that Stephen A's ever had.
Correct. Yeah, swinging on LeBron.
That being said, I've never seen LeBron swing on anybody, so how would you know? Maybe he's a big baby.
Yeah, how would you know? How would you know? Do you really want to find out?
I've seen Larry Bird swing on people, Kevin. I've seen Kareem Abdul-Jabbar swing on people.
Oh, yeah. People used to fight.
Michael Jordan get up at people. LeBron does none of that, just for the record, since we're talking about it.
Players don't fight anymore.
Yeah, whatever.
Do you really want to? Do you want a 20-game suspension? You can
You're not
fight.
Suspending LeBron 20 games. Stop it.
Dude, if he throws a punch, you can't fight. Hear me out. Ever since the Malice in the Palace, they have shut fighting down. It was pretty much shut down before that, but no, they can't have that stuff anymore. It's the league that shut that stuff down. You don't think players would fight if they could? They'd love to swing on each other.
Sometimes I wish they could.
Sometimes I do too.
Sometimes I wish
they made that stuff exciting, and it eliminated that guy who really couldn't play, but was just there to get hard fouls and to fight if it came down to it. Basically, protect the star player, the enforcer.
Yeah, like on the hockey.
Yeah. You don't have that in the NBA anymore. Everybody's too talented now. The players are so talented and so skilled.
Bill, what you're saying is Bill Laimbeer probably isn't starting for a world championship team.
Exactly. He's on the bench because he's a good basketball player, but he's not No.
Yeah.
He's not an
No,
important
I agree with that.
player like that.
Here's my thought on this whole deal is this is a way for Stephen A to stay relevant. And LeBron, you get what you get for putting your son on the Lakers. Like,
Yes.
what do you think was going to happen? The kid is not NBA level good. He's just not.
I
Make
will
him
say
go
this
earn
though.
it.
This is interesting.
He's had an upswing in
He's
the last
developing.
10 games.
Yeah. No, he's developing for. He's where you hope a second round pick would be at this point in the season. You'd have to feel good about that.
He should be in the G
If
League,
you're,
Kevin.
or just
Kevin, he should
well,
be
he
on the
is.
G League.
He's a two-way player. Adam Flagler gets minutes for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I think Bronny James is better than him.
I don't know. Would Bronny James be playing if he wasn't Bronny James? The answer is no. He would have been drafted. He would have been drafted, dude.
Oh, that I completely agree with. But what did Bronny James getting drafted? Whose spot did he take? Like, who did that hurt? Because again, he's playing
first
well.
of all, I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that it probably didn't hurt anybody that was really going to play. Yes, one spot out of all the NBA rosters, probably not the end of the world. It's just the idea that you, as a fan and a sportscaster, I think have the right to go, yeah, but we know what happened here, right? Like, we know the reason he's playing. That's all.
Yes.
That's all.
Yeah,
I do see
we know
Stephen
the
A.
reason
point,
he was-
but his argument today on First Take was that LeBron is not actually mad about Bronny, though. He's mad that he won't. He's mad that he won't acknowledge that Stephen A. will not acknowledge LeBron as the greatest of all time. That's what he contends. That's what Stephen A. contends. Is that all of this is a big smoke show to distract from the fact that he's upset that he continues to espouse Michael Jordan as the greatest of all time versus LeBron.
Don't most pundits do that?
Don't most pundits do what?
Say acknowledge that Michael Jordan is better than LeBron?
I would hope so.
Right?
I don't think it's a question. So I don't know what LeBron's. You think he's just picking Stephen out because he's an easy target?
Maybe.
Or do you think the whole thing's fake and they've got me? They sucked me in.
That would be interesting, but like, how does that help LeBron?
Yeah, because he's not coming out looking very good in this situation.
No, and he doesn't need Stephen A. Smith for some kind of publicity.
Yeah, probably not. How good are the Lakers going to be for this end run?
I really don't know, man. I mean, you see the potential there with Luka and LeBron playing together. They play off each other really well. It looks very natural for them. I am concerned about their lack of an inside presence and a rim protector once they get into the playoffs. But
who do they have that can play defense?
I mean, they got inside Rui Hachimura, Jackson Hayes.
Because Austin Reeves isn't playing. Austin Reeves isn't playing defense for him.
Correct.
Luka's not playing defense.
No.
I don't mind Austin Reeves.
LeBron is upside. It's up and down defensively.
LeBron's got LeBron's got the old man. Yeah, he's got the old man defense. Like, if he wants to lock in for 5 minutes, he might be able to do it. But at the end of the day, he doesn't have that energy level there. It's just
he's not 91 Scottie Pippen.
No,
just gonna Kawhi Leonard in 2016.
100%.
But yeah. So that's my concern with them defensively, and then rim protecting. But I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs, even if you're a better team like the Thunder. I don't think that they could beat the Thunder, but they can do some things with the two of them in the pick and roll to really stress out your defense.
The Thunder have eclipsed 60 games. They're at 60 with 10 games to go. This team's really good, dude.
They are really good.
Their biggest challenge is Denver. And then Boston.
Yeah, I mean, I think their biggest challenges will come from the East. I think Boston could be a challenge. Maybe Cleveland. Right? I really like this Cleveland team. They're really good, man.
The Thunder seem to be sitting people, trying to get everybody healthy, trying to get legs rested for the playoff run. Is everybody healthy? Is there any concerns?
J-Dub has that hip injury, and he's been out for at least a week now. So I'm not sure when he'll be back. So, but that's the only real
If the
in
playoffs
reality.
started tomorrow, was he play?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think what makes this team so dangerous is they can beat you in so many different ways. They can play small, and they could play huge with Chet and Hardenstein. They even had a lineup. They had Chet at the 4, Hardenstein at the 5, and then Kenrich Williams at the 3. This is a
Good
really big
Lord.
lineup. Yeah, it's a really big lineup, and the defensive versatility is there. They've got some elite on-ball defenders with, of course, Lou Dort and Casey Wallace and Alex Caruso. Again, a situation there where you can put all 3 of those guys on the court at the same time, and it makes it really tough for your guard to get anything going. Those guys can pick you up from 70 feet away and just make it really, really difficult for you. And with Casey Wallace, what makes him good is he can rip the ball away and stay in front of you without fouling. Sometimes Dort can get into foul trouble because he's so physical. Kaysen has a little bit more skill with his, where he can stay in front of you, rip the ball without fouling. So when you have those 2 guys on the court together, that's a matchup I would love to see if they end up playing Cleveland in the finals, right? With their 2 guards, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, going up against Kaysen Wallace and Lou Dort. We haven't even mentioned the likely MVP and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and all this. So
Does he win the
yeah,
MVP? Does he get
yes,
your
I think
MVP
so.
vote?
Yes, he does. Although Jokic is having a truly historic season, with the fact that he's already won 3 MVPs, I think this is Shai's time, man.
Any thought to go ahead and let Jokic win it and put a chip on the Thunder?
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, I could see that.
I
But
think
I
this
don't know,
team
man.
is young.
Shai,
I think the team's young enough to take the chip personally.
yeah,
You know
me
what
too.
I mean?
Yeah,
I think they're young enough.
his teammate, it'll fire up his teammates more than it would Shai. Shai is just so
Agreed.
consistent. He's gonna give it to you regardless.
No.
But
Listen,
yeah, it'll fire up the
100%.
guys.
100%. Can you imagine his supporting cast? They would feel personally snubbed
They would
if Shai doesn't win it.
personally. Yeah, I agree.
God. I want Shai to win the MVP. The MVP for me in basketball, I think it's the most meaningful individual award in professional sports.
Yeah, I agree.
Even more so than the NFL. Because the NFL, you're one of 22 guys on the field.
Yeah,
And it usually just goes to whoever the best quarterback is, or whatever.
for sure.
But for basketball, it's 82 games. You're usually 1 out of 5 on the court for your team. And the names of players over the years that win the MVP is just like nothing else.
Absolutely.
I don't want him to not win it, but just in the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe a little, let him win it next
Hakeem
year.
Olajuwon 95 level chip on the shoulder.
Who did they give to Barkley?
David Robinson.
Oh, they gave it to David.
Yeah, I remember what happened in game 1 in the conference finals.
Yeah, that was probably a mistake. That might have been a mistake.
Yeah.
Hakeem the Dream was, my God.
Special player, man.
Oh, for 2 years. I mean, 2 years he was the best player in the world. The 2
Correct.
years that Michael Jordan was playing baseball, he was the best player in the world.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And I'm not sure. I mean, I guess it was close with Robinson, and you had because Barkley won it, I guess, then in '94. Would that have been?
Barkley won it, I believe, in '93. Yeah, 92, 93.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting old and I can't remember this stuff.
If you look at it, I'm looking at the MVPs really since like 1974. And is Steve Nash the most unlikely MVP winner?
What years
he won
2? It? What years?
04, 05, and 05, 06.
You know what's crazy about that is I was not watching the NBA then.
Okay.
I just wasn't. And so I have a hard time. I don't want to judge on it because my older son was, 7, 8, 9 years old. That's a busy time as a dad. I was working all the time. I just got married. I also lived in Oklahoma, and you didn't have the NBA, so your thoughts get pulled to basketball, to OU sports and OU football, and so the NBA kind of took a back seat right around 05 to really the Thunder showing up. Maybe even a little earlier than that. Like some of those Pistons teams, I don't really remember that much either. What did you watch? I mean, you were an NBA guy even back then, though. So
Yeah,
I
oh
mean,
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
do
I
you
was
think
all over it.
did anybody get snubbed? Who would have gotten snubbed in those 2 years?
I think Kobe had a really good season in 06, but I think that's really about it. Of course, Duncan was still in his prime at that time
Yeah.
too. I mean, he averaged 15 and 11.5 assists.
To me, that doesn't seem like MVP numbers, though, does it?
It doesn't, not with the points. The assists, yes, but and then the second year when he won it, the points went up to 18.8, and then 10.5. The assists were down 10.5 assists a game.
Who was he playing for?
Phoenix, Amari Stoudemire, those teams, they're really good teams. Just couldn't get past the Spurs or the Lakers. The Spurs and Lakers just dominated the Western Conference during the whole 2000s.
Point guards ahead of him all time. Magic.
Yeah.
John Stockton.
Yeah. I mean, I might put Jason Kidd over him.
Jason Kidd's probably over him. I guess Tony Parker isn't, but man, he led them to a lot of wins. God, he was a good player.
Yeah.
He might. I mean, he probably gets shied away because of his supporting cast, but
yeah,
I mean, it was a hell of a big free in San Antonio for a really long time.
Oh, Chris Paul.
Is Russ a point? Russ is a point guard.
I mean, he might be considered one. Yeah, I think he's technically considered a point guard.
I like Russell over him. I think Russell's
that.
better.
I
think Russell was a better. I mean, his teams. He had 2 or 3 chances at titles. Won an MVP. Averaged a triple double. I love those people. He was chasing stats. So what?
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is to average a triple double? You don't think more players wouldn't chase stats? Like that's your biggest criticism, is that he's getting rebounds. He's getting rebounds, and we're criticizing him for rebounding it.
Right.
Stop. Well, it's because it happened on free throws, and they blocked. Well, maybe more people should block out the big so the guy can get in there and get the rebound. If it's so effective, then he can steal stats. What are we talking about?
For sure. I consider Steph to be a 2 guard, personally.
Yes, you have. You always did. You always have.
But if we were considering Steph a point guard, I would put him above a lot of those guys.
He's not a point guard, though, right?
I don't see him though. I mean, he's the elite, historically good ball handler, but
he could be a point guard
too.
He could be. Yeah. He would be.
Yeah.
In that conversation for point guard, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
It's hard to think he is, right? Who did the offense flow? The offense flowed through him, but who was the initiator back then?
Draymond's been he's their initiator.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you got one game, no point guard to go win it. You're still going with Magic Johnson, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so, man. And he might play center for you in the Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Who knows?
Right.
The rookie as a rookie, and he might go have a triple double.
Yeah, correct. Correct. Against the 76ers.
Against the 70, it might be one of the greatest games of all time that never gets talked about.
Mm-hmm.
The dude played point guard. Kareem gets hurt. As a rookie, he goes and plays center. Dude gets on the post.
Yeah. I'm gonna hit down here on the block. I'll do the jump ball and everything.
He's like Kevin McHale. Just the post moves up and under. Yeah. I mean, come on, dude. He's running the skyhook. 1980. Stop it.
Yeah.
Come on. Oh my God, Kevin! I'm so glad we're back talking sports. I freaking love it. We had some good OU Texas talk. We should know some more about spring stuff next week. We'll have more to talk about. We'll have the Final Four preview next week. Maybe, just maybe, we'll be talking about some OU and Texas women's in the Final Four of the Women's League. The Masters, 2 very short weeks away. I will be talking a lot of Masters talk coming up, just because it's our podcast. We talk about what we want. Kevin, have a great day, a great rest of your week. Boomer.
Okay.